Start recording also. Okay, greet everybody who is watching us live here in Zoom, and we have quite a few people who are watching on Facebook as well. And we're going to go into our festive mood for Tu BSh'vat. Next week, I want to continue the theme of great Jewish thinkers, look at the Rambam, and then look at his opponents, philosophical opponents, later on, and then we'll go into some of the modern Jewish thinkers. Here and there, I want to try to intersperse some things that have to do with maybe some more Jewish communities, and usual Jewish communities will try to get some connections for that too. So to everybody here, we're going to go right into our presentation again. And I'm going to close some things down on the screen here. There we go. Get this out of the way. And allow me a second to clean things out of the system so I have less clutter. And that's it. And there we go. Opening up a PowerPoint screen. It'll have links to the music. Give it a second to open. All right. There we go. There we go. It's kicking. Give it a second to open up. There we go. It's a very powerful program, so I kept it shut because it had so many different music selections going on at the same time also. So allow it a second to load up. And here we are with my theme of Happy Tu BSh'vat. Allow it a second to load. There we go. It's going. There we are. Happy Tu BSh'vat. I'm going to put this as a slideshow so it'll appear larger on your screen. Give it 1 second. There we have it. There we go. So now I have my screen up, ready for Tu BSh'vat, New Year of the Trees, Rosh Hashanah, the Ilanot, in Hebrew, Ilan being a fruit-bearing tree. Okay, and we're going to find out where this comes from, right? Not every day that we have such a holiday. So lucky to be Jews because we get 6 Jewish New Years. Where do I get 6 Jewish New Years from? Well, for the counting of the years, Rosh Hashanah, everybody knows that, in the fall. For the counting of the cycle of festivals, that's in the springtime, with Pesach. For the counting of the age of cattle, the end of summer. Counting of the age of trees, the end of the winter, so the glimmerings of the end of winter, the 15th of Shabbat. And then January 1st, the secular New Year's. We party with that too. And if we have Chinese neighbors, we get Chinese New Year as well. I guess, and if we've got Persian friends, maybe we get a 7th one for the, what's it called? Nowruz, for the Persian New Year. All right? So lots of excuses to celebrate. Lots of excuses to celebrate. Well, where does this come from, this Tu BSh'vat? In the Mishnah, we are told that there are 4 New Years. Bible doesn't tell anything about the word New Year's. There's one reference in Ezra, and that's about it. What we call Rosh Hashanah is in the Bible Yom HaZikaron, Yom Zichron Torah, the day of remembrance, the day of the trumpet blasts, but not New Year's. It is late. Abba Rosh Hashanim. There are 4 New Years. The first of Nisan for kings and festivals. That's when they dated reigns of the kings. On the 1st of Elul for the tiding of animals, and like all Jews, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon says on the 1st of Tishrei. No, give me another month. I don't agree with you. Right? On the first of Tishrei, New Year for the years. That's how we count our years, right? We always now, since this time of the mission, we've been counting the years in the fall, and also for the sabbatical and the Jubilee, and for counting planting and for vegetables. Notice this word, lenitiyah, the Hebrew lenitiyah, planting. We think about Tu BSh'vat, planting trees, because that's the custom that arose in the 20th century, but it's not the original one. Planting is in the fall, not in the spring, in the winter, spring. Then we have Rosh Hashanah La'ilan, the new year for the trees, for fruit-bearing trees. Kedivrei Beit Shammai, on the first day of Shabbat. And like all Jews, somebody has to say, no, it's not the first, it's the 15th. Beit Hillel, Chamisha Asar Bo. And so Beit Hillel almost always wins the argument, and that was the final decision. The Chamisha Asar, the 15th, the word Tu BSh'vat, Tu being the letter Tet and Vav adding up to 15, a way of counting in Hebrew for the 15th of Shvat. Okay, so why this part of the year? Because the almond tree is the first tree to start blossoming at this point. And also the sun, the days are beginning to get long enough to dry wood needed for the offerings at the temple. So this is a very good way to mark the beginning of the end of the summer. It's a more accurate way than Groundhog's Day. And so the rabbis tell us that we have to plant trees. How do we know that? Anybody want to volunteer to read something for me? Up. Get volunteers to read. You can open the mic, unmute, and got any volunteers? No? Anybody?
I'll volunteer, Rabbi.
Go ahead. Good. Thanks. Let me.
So
it's right in the middle of the English. Why do we plant trees?
Here, when you enter the land, and you shall plant any tree for food, you shall regard its fruit as forbidden, uncircumcised, and for 3 years it shall be forbidden to you, not to be eaten. In the 4th year, all its fruit shall be set aside for a sacred jubilation before the Lord, and only in the 5th year may you use its fruit, that its yield to you may be increased. I, the Lord, am your God.
Right. So we have here the rule about the fruit trees. That's why we need the counting from Tu BSh'vat. How do we count the age of the trees? We use this as a marker. 3 years from Tu BSh'vat. In the 4th year, we can bring the plant to the temple. In the 5th year, it's for general use. Notice the words here, very interestingly, it's forbidden. The word in Hebrew is orla, arelim. It's the same, that's why I put uncircumcised. The English translation is forbidden, but the Hebrew is the word orlato, or ultimate orlato. It's like the word uncircumcised. So just as the male has to be circumcised, the fruit is, in this sense, also circumcised. It's dedicated then at that point on. The other thing is that the Hebrew words uses the word hitavo, when you come to the land, unetatem, and you plant, which seems to be just a description. But the rabbis interpreted unetatem, you have an obligation to plant. And from this we go to the bottom, which is this beautiful midrash on this, which says, is it possible for a human being to walk in God's paths? The Psalms tells us, you should go after your God. So that, can a human being ascend to heaven to cleave to the iron? We can't fly up to the heavens. What does it mean to be like God or to follow God's paths? Understand that since creation, God has been involved solely in planting trees. What did he do in the Garden of Eden? He planted a garden in Eden. So if he planted a garden, so you too, when you enter the land, you should engage only in planting trees. To which the rabbis say that if you are planting the tree and the Messiah is coming, you have to finish planting the tree first before you run to greet the Messiah. Tu BSh'vat customs, a little bit of customs, we'll get into it, but I have the picture. Here's the almond tree blossoming. And anybody familiar with Joyce Kilmer's poem? Want to read it for me, please? The poem by Joyce Kilmer. Can I get someone to read it nicely?
Sure.
Joe, go ahead.
A poem lovely as I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.
Okay. All right. Well, he's a good poet if he can make a poem like that.
Yep.
All right. Very good. Thank you. So, some customs. One of the most, I would say, beautiful is the idea of doing a Seder. Just like Passover has a Seder, so does Tu BSh'vat. It was 4 centuries ago, right? Remember 1492, Jews were expelled from Spain. The expulsion had actually begun a century before, and Jews were forced to convert. Some were able to stay, some couldn't. And then 1492, the bulk were expelled. And then, actually, over the century afterwards, those that had tried to remain as conversos eventually left also. So they were invited in the 1500s by the Sultan of Turkey, Suleiman, to return to the land of Israel. And they marked it by creating a Seder. They said, if the Sultan is inviting us to come to the land of Israel, salvation must be near. Just like there was an exodus in the past, so we have had our exodus from the world, and we're coming back to the land of Israel. So they put together a ceremony for Tu BSh'vat with fruits and wine. It was finally printed in a print edition pre-Etz Hadar in the middle of the 1700s. And of course, instead of having matzah, they would have fruit. And for 4 cups of wine, they had wine with different colors to indicate all the seasons of the year: winter, spring, summer, fall. And so we're going to just deviate a little bit from our story and go to this video clip. Let me pick up this video clip of the land of Israel. There we go. It's an aerial view of the land of Israel. So enjoy this to get us into the mood, like the ancient Kabbalists were coming back to the land of Israel after centuries of exile. So we continue some more thoughts for Tu BSh'vat. This from the book of Deuteronomy about keeping trees out of war. Can I get someone to read the English there for me? Really want to do it?
I'll
When
do it
in
again,
war
Rabbi.
against a city,
Go
you
ahead.
have to besiege it a long time. In order to capture it, you must not destroy its trees, wielding the axe against them. You may eat of them, but you must not cut them down. Do I read the red?
Yeah, the red, yes,
Are trees of the field human to withdraw from you into the besieged city? Or the human is like the tree bearing fruit?
Right. The verse in Hebrew, Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh, because ha'adam, question mark, is the human being to be compared to a tree. The human being can fall back behind the walls of the city and have his defense. He can also put up a fight. The tree can't put up a fight. So why do you go to war against a tree? It can't fight back. It can't protect itself. The other interpretation is, instead of reading it as a question mark, as the definite article, for the human being is like a tree. And therefore, you can't go attack the human being either. You shouldn't, right? You should watch for the human being also. There we go. Ahead. Thank you. Here's the story. So the cups of wine, the first cup of wine, we're not having any wine, we're not having any fruits. It's all in our pretend, make-believe. A white wine for the first cup, a winter wine, white. And we normally have a blessing over some fruits, but right now we want to ask, is there a blessing for a tree? So here's a story, beautiful story. Let me read the story. A man was traveling through the desert, hungry, thirsty, and tired, when he came upon a tree bearing luscious fruit and affording plenty of shade, underneath which ran a spring of water. He ate of the fruit and drank of the water and rested beneath the shade. And when he was about to leave, he turned to the tree and said, "Tree, oh tree, with what should I bless you? Should I bless you that your fruit be sweet? Your fruit is already sweet. Should I bless you that your shade be plentiful? Your shade is plentiful. That a spring of water should run beneath you? A spring of water already runs beneath you. So there's one thing with which I can bless you. Maybe God's will, that all the trees planted from your seeds should be like you. All right? Be fruitful and have more trees." Now, we saw the land, and now we're going to sing the praise of the land. Eretz Zevat Chalav, the land flowing with milk and honey. I have the words here for you. Eretz Zevat Chalav with the bash, simple words. And of course, the chalav, milk, you know the cow, but do you know this? That doesn't look like a bee, does it? It's a palm tree. Because the biblical dvash is actually the juice from the dates, which is made into a syrup. You can buy it in some of the Israeli stores. Here, Silan. Maybe some other stores that carry Middle Eastern foods will have it in a similar version. Silan, date honey, date syrup. So that's the actual original milk and honey. But we know about it, honey, as the honey of the bee, which was also known at that time. So we go ahead. Nina Simone. By the way, Nina Simone was the person who put Rabbi Karbach, Shlomo Karbach, on his path, because the two of them, supported each other in many ways. She really got him started, and he got her maybe up to get started also in his own way. So here she is, Eretz Zevat Chalav. Okay. Nina Simone. Take this, shrink it out here. So I don't overload my system. We go ahead then. One of the customs also of the Seder was to eat fruit in a certain order. It was a reflection of a Kabbalistic theory that you go from earth, which is very physical and has holiness in it, but you have to fight to get through it. And then you go to the next level, which is the forces that shape and control the earth, and the more spirituality, but you have to remove out of it the seeds that are in it. And then the next level, those that are physical, spiritual forces that are more pure, and you can actually eat them without fighting with the season. And the final, which is actually God himself, untouchable, untangible, you can't eat, drink, or anything like that. So they move in this. So in this order, I have picked the first one, a pomegranate. We don't have a pomegranate to eat, but we can read a poem about a pomegranate, a song. In the English, the pomegranate tree has emanated its fragrance between the Dead Sea and Jericho. My fortress, your regiment returned from patrol. My innocent, your lover returning from wandering. Treasures of Ophir and fragrance of Gilad, chariots of Egypt, I sent you, girl. Thousands of songs I will hang for your shield from the Nile to Jordan. It's one of the early Israeli songs, using themes from Song of Songs and putting them into a modern composition of its time. So this is Etz Harimon. And so for this also we have the second cup of wine, which we wish we had, which is a blush, a wine that has a touch of pink or touch of just a touch of red with it, for the beginnings of the springtime. You know, the winter's beginning subside, so we have a little glimmering of hope. And the pomegranate tree in front of it. Pomegranate, one of the symbols of the land of Israel on ancient Israeli coins, ancient Judean coins, actually, we'll say that, the pomegranate. Etz Harimon, Natan Recho. And so we have this beautiful rendition. There we go. Shoshana the
Etz Harimon Natan Recho B'yam HaMelach li richo Shab Hamati Gedudech min dod Shab Tamati dodech min dod Shab Hamati Gedudech min dod Shab Tamati dodech min dod Otzrot Tavir Gilad רכב מצרים שללתי לך בה אלף הזמרת לך מגן מן היאור עד הירדן את כלולה מכל כלות את דגולה ואני דגלות שתיים עינייך כשתיים יונים וכל קולך פעמונים שתיים עינייך כשתיים יונים וכל קולך פעמונים לך התרועות לך הזרים לך כל שלטי הגיבורים מליך אל אלף ומרבבה לבבי מת מאהבה שב אל הקשת שב החץ שב הרימון אל ראש העץ לך ואלייך החיל יוחל בואי כלה ירד הליל לך ואלייך החיל יוחל בואי כלה ירד הליל
One of the old classic singers of Israel, Shoshana Damari. Another level of fruits then. Fruits that have no shell, but they have pits inside. This is the next level of creation above us. And so the example would be cherries or the olives, right, or the dates. So we're looking at the olive tree. I once worked in an olive grove plucking olives in Israel. It's a pain. I stopped eating olives for a long time after that. But olives are the land of Israel, also a symbol of the land of Israel. It's a source not only of food, but also oil, which was very essential in antiquity. So here's a song about the olive. I will plant in the desert, I'll plant an acacia, myrtle, and olive tree. And the acacia, the Etz Hashita, the myrtle, that we have on the right, that's the hadas, the myrtle tree, the olive tree, the zayit, and I'll place juniper in the wilderness, the brosh, the juniper, the pine, and the box tree, some other kind of tree. Oh, here we have the song about planting a tree in the desert. Ten bamidban et haaretz. I'm moving this over just a little bit.
אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ושמן, אשים בערבה בראש, אשים בערבה בראש. אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ושמן, אשים בערבה בראש, אשים בערבה בראש. אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ושמן, אשים בערבה בראש, בראש תדע דיברתי אשוב יחדיו. אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ואת שמן, אשים בערבה בראש, אשים בערבה בראש. אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ואת שמן, אשים בערבה בראש, אשים בערבה בראש. אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ואת שמן, אשים בערבה בראש, בראש דיברתי אשוב יחדיו. אתן במדבר את הארז, אתן במדבר את הארז, אתן במדבר את הארז, שיטה וידז ואת שמן, אשים בערבה בראש, בראש דיברתי אשוב יחדיו. אתן במדבר את הארז, אתן במדבר את הארז, אתן.
And ahead. The next level of fruit is one that you can eat whole. So an example would be an apple or a pear. The apples are known in the land of Israel, ancient Israel, right? Song of Songs talks about apples. So here's a song about apples and trees and the wind blowing through the trees. It's by a folk group called the Weavers. And we're dating a lot of these songs are really old songs. A tree sways, the wind caresses its top and kissed it, and there in the garden, my beauty picked an apple, and her laughter is ivory. If only I were a tree, and she'd the wind, and she were to kiss me, she might just pick me up a graceful apple. Or when the day will be over, and shall call aloud, my beauty, come down for a stroll in my garden. Right, and for this we have a rosé wine, cup of rosé wine, right? More red than white. Nadilan, tapuach chinani, right? The beautiful, graceful apple. Sing along with these, please. Sing along a little song. second. Allow me just to remove this from the screen. Okay, and pull this out here also. I'm just going to clean up some clutter here. Okay, and go back. And open up my screen for us all. Go back to my slideshow. All right, there we go. So now, go ahead. We've got our palms also. Dates, date palms. Palms are so significant in biblical metaphor, right? The righteous man. I remember the dance we did at the beginning. We'll have another look at Tzadika Tamar, the palm tree. The righteous man shall flourish like the palm tree, shall thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. And so this is how they look at dancing to the palm, Tzadika Tamar. The righteous is like a palm in Japan. The word Tzadika Tamar, Yifrach, Keres Bavanon, Yiskeh. Notice also he's playing the Halil, the recorder. There's one of the classic old Israeli instruments. I don't know if anybody still plays it, but those dances go well with it. We come to the perfect fruit. The perfect fruit is one that has no pit, has no peel, has no blemish, has no imperfection. You know, this is like God. All right, so you have to imagine it. So for this, I come to the song of the plant, Shirat HaAsavim. It's from beautiful poem and song by Naomi Shemer, who took a theme from Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. And know you that each and every shepherd has his own tune, and each and every grass has its own poem. And from the poem of the grasses, a tune of a shepherd is made, and how beautiful, how pleasant to hear the poem. Very good to pray among them and to serve the Lord in joy. From the poem of the grasses, the heart is filled and yearns. When the poem causes the heart to fill and yearn to the land of Israel, a great light is drawn and goes from the land's holiness upon it. From the poem of the grasses, a tune of the heart is made. We have Naomi Shemer's דע לך שהעשבים. And the singer Eti Ankari.
דע לך שכל רואה ורואה יש לו ניגון מיוחד משלו. דע לך שכל עשב ועשב יש לו שירה מיוחדת משלו, ומשירת העשבים נעשה ניגון של רועה. כמה יפה, כמה יפה ונאה כששומעים השירה שלהם. טוב מאוד להתפלל ביניהם ובשמחה לעבוד את השם, ומשירת העשבים מתמלא הלב ומשתוקק. וכשהלב מן השירה מתמלא ומשתוקק אל ארץ ישראל. אור גדול אזי נמשך והולך מקדושתה של הארץ עליו, ומשירת העשבים נעשה ניגון של הלב, ומשירת העשבים נעשה ניגון של הלב.
This one down, and we move ahead. We're coming to the last cup of wine, and you want something really summery, hot, blazing. What better than the kosher wines, the super sweet, oversweet Concord grape wine like Kedem, Manischewitz, Morgan David, right? Not a dry wine. It has to be a sweet, sweet wine. All right, so we going to conclude this with a story, and then another video of the land of Israel with Tu BSh'vat melodies. And here's the story. One day, Honi HaMagia, this is the story of Honi, the circle maker, was walking along the road, and he saw a certain man planting a carob tree. And Honi said to him, well, this tree, after how many years will it bear fruit? The man said to him, it will not produce fruit until 70 years have passed. 70 years to grow to maturity. Honi said to him, is it obvious that you will live to 70 years? Do you expect to benefit from this tree? He said to him, that man himself found the world full of carob trees, and just as my ancestors planted for me, I too am planting for my descendants. When the Zionist pioneers started coming back in the return started really in the middle of the 1800s and picked up in the end of the 1800s into the 1900s, the land of Israel had been mostly barren. There were devastating wars proceeding in the 1700s, depopulated the land of Israel and devastated the ecology. So planting was an important act. A teacher wanted to teach his kids the importance of planting. And so he said, I need a holiday to take the kids and use it as a way to teach them planting. And the holiday for planting, I said, is the fall or the end of the summer, but there's no school in session. So, well, Tu BSh'vat, let's take Tu BSh'vat, which is February, which is not the right time to plant plants. But because the kids are in school, we're going to do a holiday for them. And that is how Tu BSh'vat got its modern connotation of the holiday of planting of trees. And so everybody says it's Tu BSh'vat then with planting trees. It's passed on into LA. Tree people picked it up with the idea of planting trees and planting trees in LA from the idea of planting trees in Israel. So this last one, a tour of Israel with song and fruits of Israel, food of Israel, a festival for the eyes, and music. I'm going to go full screen on this. There we go. Full screen. Now we got it.
ציפורים מראש כל גג מבשרות את בוא החג. ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות, ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות. הארץ משוועת הגיע עת לוטעת, כל אחד ייקח לו עץ בעצים נצא חוצץ. ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות, ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות. השקדיה פורחת ושמש פזורחת, ציפורים מראש כל גג מבשרות את בוא החג. ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות, ט"ו בשבט הגיע חג לאילנות. מתחת אל הסלע צומחת צוחחת לפלא רקפת נחמדת מאוד, ושמש מזהרת נושקת, עותרת, עותרת לכתר ורוד. לה 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 נהדרת בסלע נסתרת, נסתרת מנפש כל חי. לה 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 יצאה עם הרוח בשבע לסוח, היה אז הבוקר בהיר. כל צמח, כל פרח אוספת בדרך, ופיה אך זמר ושיר. לה 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 לה.
Okay, so we finished our Tu BSh'vat commemoration. Come to the end of the show. Close down. Stop share. Okay, we ended our share. Okay, let's go. Stop share. There we go. Stop share. For all of
Thank
us
you, Rabbi,
present.
for the presentation. I think being enclosed and see the trees gives new life.
You know what else? I can't. We can't serve any food now, so at least you can see pictures of food.
Yeah.
All right, that at least. You know, one of the most fun things if
Thank
you
you,
go to
Rabbi.
Israel, you go to the markets, and you know the fresh markets in Machane Yehuda or the Shuk Carmel in Tel Aviv, and the food is out there on these, you know, and so especially with the spice stands, because you know you go to a store like Ralph's or whatever, and the spices are little tiny bottles. You see these big vats of spices, and the colors the spices come in are magnificent. So it's like an artist's palette when you're in there. Okay, so I hope you all had, that's it. I wanted to have this. This was Shabbat Shira, Shabbat of song, and to mark Tu BSh'vat with singing and with celebration and feel good. Next week, we'll get back to serious. I'm going to, like I say, we'll have a regular Shabbat and discuss Maimonides. Middle of February, coming up, end of February, we'll have Purim coming up, and I'm going to see if we're safe and sound. Maybe we can actually do it inside. We'll find out. If not, I'll try to do something with Purim online. That again, that'll be Thursday evening, the 25th. I think 25th or the 25th of February.
I think, Rabbi, you should think of doing a play where we can all read online. There's no way we're going to be having anything inside in February.
Maybe too soon. Okay. Well, we'll see. Then I can do
I
something
don't think you
else.
should even think about it. I think we should just, if we're going to do something, we should just plan to have like a reading where we all read.
Okay. Maybe we can
on
get some
Zoom.
skits. Maybe I can find a
Yeah.
skit and everybody can take part.
Yeah,
So we'll have
exactly.
the Megillah reading, and then because there are a lot of those comedy skits for Purim,
Exactly.
and everybody should put on a costume,
Oh, really?
something funny. Yeah, a hat, right? Put on a
Okay.
hat, some kind of funny hat, so we get in the mood. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
we should forget about doing anything, and then everybody can have their own glass next to them.
Take a whiskey.
Exactly.
for him.
They can have their own glass next to them. And
Okay,
after each joke, you have a drink. Haha. There
Okay.
you go.
okay, okay. I once attended a class. It was in a small community, a group of Jews getting together, studying Maimonides, and between each sentence, they had a glass of schnapps,
Exactly.
one after the other. They were studying deep
Pretend you're
into
back
their
in
studies.
university.
Then the university is more beer, I think. No.
Yeah, I know. Well, you had a
Heavy on
drink
beer.
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy
Exactly.
Tu BSh'vat, even if we're a little
Yes.
bit late to everybody.
Thank you.
Shabbat
All
shalom.
right. Thank you, Rabbi.